Hey everybody, it's Christina with My Confection Obsession, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a Santorini blue dome cake. So the reason that I wanted to make this cake is because my husband and I actually eloped in Santorini last year. So Santorini is known for a lot of things. Probably its most distinct is the iconic blue domes. So this cake is actually going to be two different tiers, and the first tier I've already prepped. And so what this is actually a 3-layer 6-inch diameter cake. And then for the dome, I actually ended up using this pan. And so this is the Wilton, it came from the Wilton 3D sports pan set. And obviously I just used half of it. So I used that and I just set it right on top, and I have crumb coated my cake. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cover this with, I'm going to call it Santorini blue icing. Okay, so our top tier is covered with blue icing, and just for reference, this actually did take me 2 coats until I was satisfied with it. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to cut out some fondant pieces to put white around the dome. And so what I did is I did cut out a template from cardstock just because I want all of my pieces even. So I have like the white or this rectangle for the wall, and then I did cut out like a little window. So you guys will see how I do that. So I'm using my homemade marshmallow fondant, and if you guys haven't made it yet, I did put the link in the show notes. And I took the fondant in chunks so it's easier to work with. Another thing that I should mention is for my template, what I did do when my cake was just crumb coated is I actually measured the height of my template, and then I know around it's about 20 inches. So this was like 5 inches high and then 20 inches around, so that I would have an idea of exactly the measurements I needed the template to be. So I know I'm actually going to want this a little bit thinner, so I'm going to just roll it out. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use a little bit of my Wilton dab and hold, and I'm going to paint the back of this fondant and adhere it to the cake. So one thing to know about using this adhesive is it can stick either fondant to fondant, or it can stick fondant to buttercream, but the buttercream does need to be crusted. So this cake was in the fridge for quite a while before I started doing this. So I will show you how I stick this. So I don't want my fondant to stretch out, so I'm going to carefully put this on the cake. And gently press it against the side. So I'm going to go ahead and cover the circumference of this. So I'm just going to keep cutting these out. I think I'm going to end up needing 5 altogether. Alright, so I have the sides of my cake covered, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint some beautiful pink flowers along the sides of the windows. So for this, I'm actually going to use 2 different colors of green so that there's a little bit of depth. So I'm just going to use gel color and mix it with a little bit of vodka. So I'm taking, this paintbrush has like a firm bristle, and I'm just going to paint some little leaves along the side here. So after I paint my green leaves on the side, I'm gonna add a touch of the pink flowers. So you see these all over in Santorini and they're beautiful and it makes a really striking contrast against the blue. So I just have a very small star tip here and I'm just gonna simply dot some flowers on. So my flowers are done and what I'm going to do is actually set this tier aside and I'm going to focus on the bottom tier. So for the bottom tier, what I'm going to do is use the painted Buttercream brushstroke technique. I will put a link to the full tutorial in the show notes, but if you guys haven't tried it yet, it's really fun, it's abstract, and it's really forgiving, so it's almost impossible to mess it up. Alright, so now that our bottom tier is done, and I actually think it kind of looks like the ocean, which I wasn't going for, but I like, I am going to stack my top tier onto this, and I'm going to do this very carefully. Okay, so cake is stacked, and the very last thing I'm going to do is add the crust to the top of this cake. Okay, so my Santorini dome cake is complete and I don't think I could be any happier with how it turned out. And I hope that you guys enjoyed watching me make this cake, and if you did, go ahead and like this episode and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And of course, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter.